So this will be rocket number 2. And we are taking it super slow. Just making sure that no Kerbals die for science. Looks like we have enough stuff to keep our Kerbals alive. So let's do a quick check if we have all the data from the pad itself. Yeah, we got that. Okay, good. That's for science. Now we better retrieve that. Any crew reports? Already done that. Okay. Now, let's go and fly. So, take a crew report in flight. Have a look at the pressure in flight. Have a look at the temperature in flight. Oh, we already did that. Okay, fine. And the mystery goo, we're going to observe it even though we've actually done that before. And then we'll cut off the engine. And we're going to fall straight back down using the parachute to brake. And I have some liquid fuel remaining, which we will use for a suicide burn in case something goes horribly wrong. But this parachute ought to stop us without too much of a problem. Just making sure I have my finger on the suicide burn button, but nope, this is all fine. Now let's make sure we have a nice and gentle touchdown. There we go. Right on the engine bell. Okay, that means that we can now get back in and see how much enormously valuable science we have collected. Excellent. And I'm only getting richer. Okay, we need to test a part. This we can do. And that's going to give us a bit of money and a bit of science and a bit of reputation. So that means we're going to be using a solid booster in our next launch. Okay, here we go. One small step for Jebediah Kerman, but a giant leap for Kerbal kind. So what is my apoapsis going to be? It doesn't say because I haven't upgraded yet. We are definitely going to be making a splash, which is actually a good thing. So I'm going to keep the engines. And I'm going to have a look at the science bits right as we start falling down. So it's going to be the highest measurement we can take with this missile. Almost at the highest point. Once that reaches 0, I'm going to start mashing buttons. Yep, there we go. Log. Upper atmosphere. I can't actually get out. But when we splash down, I can get Jebediah Kerman's opinion on the temperature of the water and more of that stuff. So we'll take care of that then. Now, I still got a bit of fuel, but that is for my final landing burn, just to make sure that my engines don't break off on landing. Even water can really damage equipment if you hit it too hard. I am curious to see. Yep, so parachute is in the danger zone right now, so I do hope we aero brake a little bit. By the time we hit thicker atmosphere at about 10K, that probably will happen. Otherwise, this is going to be a really unpleasant and very short landing for Jebediah. So once it clears red, push the button. Still too fast. Alright, I'm going to eject the pod, because otherwise I won't slow down enough. And get the chute, which has slowed me down. Not enough. Crap. I'm gonna try that again. Okay, so I think that meant that Jebediah Kerman, who I'm not willing to lose at this stage, so that was a simulation. And that's the only one I get. From now on, it's going to be permadeath. So I'm going to make sure that I eject the rest of the craft before I have any other ideas about, you know, stuff like deploying parachutes and things. Because clearly, if I still have some fuel in this tank and we're still falling, aerobraking is not enough to slow us down. Which I think is sad. Would it be great if it wasn't necessary? Right. There we go. Now we can already use this one. Which is probably actually a stupid idea because this is probably going to cut our final altitude down a bit. Because we're going to slow down faster because of wind resistance. But at 30k, it's probably not going to be that much. Now, this is just a little suborbital hop. Nothing to worry about. As for the crew report, upper atmosphere. Okay, good. We're not going to reach anything better than the upper atmosphere anyway, so let's do all the science stuff. There we go. And now we just wait until Jebediah Kerman falls back to Kerbin to fulfill his destiny. Oh, we're actually higher up than we were earlier, and we are still going relatively fast. So I think... Oh no, that's because we actually burned through all the fuel in the other engine. Well, let it fly for a sec, see what happens. So we're about at our APO. I still have a lot of upgrading to do, because clearly right now my tracking building is not showing anything that's even remotely relevant except for trajectory, but it doesn't say how high, how fast, or anything. I still have to do all the math with pen and pencil and paper and slide rules and stuff, which I'm sure Jeb has on board, but I don't know how to use those things. Pen, yes. Pencil, yes. Slide rule, no. So we are definitely on our way down again. Clearly going somewhere between 100 and 1,000, closer to 1,000 probably, meters per second. All right, now, parachute isn't complaining yet about overspeed. By the time we, let's just do that, because at some point this thing is going to orient with the heat shield down, which is just a aerodynamic feature of this pod. And it's going to take us all the way down, where apparently one of my engines is about to splash down. Actually not quite about, because it's 8 kilometers below me, which gives me about 12 kilometers until it splashes. It's too bad I couldn't save the engine. Though I could have actually mounted a parachute on it, and it might have actually been salvageable. Alright, now this is what I want to see. I want to see a steady, relatively slow speed parachute that doesn't complain about being on overspeed or whatever you want to call that, going too fast for a safe landing, which means I can already deploy it, and that is what I'm doing. So, deploying parachutes, but this thing isn't going to slow me down by too much until I'm about at 1.5 kilometers in altitude, otherwise it would take so terribly long. So this is what Jeb sees. Is not a lot. It's a bunch of instruments, obviously. Still going down pretty fast. Orientation really doesn't matter. My bottom is still way down. Parachute just opened, so my speed is going really slow. and I'm hanging about 300 meters, which is about 1,000 feet in the sky, and I'm going to touch down at a safe landing speed of 6 meters per second. So this is obviously because this time I was much carefuler. No. And unfortunately I can't do a little victory EVA hanging off a pod that is already going down. I should be able to release this heat shield, but I won't, because if I can bring it back, it will save me some funds. And funds, as we all know, in space exploration are super important, because without funds, there is no space exploration. There we go. Alright, now let's see, is splashdown? Yes, good. Splashdown is good enough for an EVA, which means I can now take that data and have a nice little EVA report while floating on the shores. And I'm gonna go back in, do another crew report. I'm floating on Kerbal shores, very good, which is another bit of science, and then we shall recover it. Ta-da! Now, that made us a total of almost 37 science, which is quite a bit. We should be able to unlock a bunch of stuff with that. We got basically only the top of the rocket back, which was worth a few points. It's like 3,800 funds. I think I spent maybe 6,000 on this rocket, so that's not actually bad. And of course, Jeb is alive, and that is the most important part. Now, we have already tested, because this was a mission, we were supposed to test a rocket, and we now have 156k, which means we can start upgrading stuff. For example, we want our astronauts to be able to perform EVAs, and to be able to have them collect surface samples, which really is a good sciencey thingy. We are going to need about 451,000 funds. Well, that's a lot of money. As for the missions bit, we can do a bit of upgrading, but I think after the next mission. Otherwise, I only have about 7,000 for the next mission, and you never know what exactly we need to do. Action groups. Yes, this is something I definitely need, but it's going to be expensive. And we also need some upgrades there. Yeah. Right. Okay, so I should probably see if there's a mission I can do. Yeah, that's too fast. This calls for very controlled flight, which is going to be possible if I have an airplane of some kind. We want to splash down a P. Sure, I can do that. Yeah, I can splash down a P, not a problem. What in Kerbin's name is a P, and how do I know how to splash it down, just land it in water, but what is a P? Is that the Soyuz kind of capsule? Ooh, it's a 2-person pod, and it looks identical to the 1-person pod. That's good to know. Okay, well, then let's initiate Kerbal Space Mission 6. The P. And we'll say lander module, which seats 2 Kerbals. Now twice the danger for the same size. So mission 6. I think we start from the base up again, which means we need to get rid of that because we have this. Alright, now, one of these can operate on a parachute, I hope. What does that weigh? 0.75, just about, plus passengers. It's 1.3 plus passengers. Can I do that with a standard parachute? I am not sure, but I can't do it unmanned. So this is going to be a bit of a risk. Maybe I should hire like a unknown crew person. Should I be risking both Jeb and... No, you know what? Let's give this mission to Valentina. We need our pilots to share the experience. And Bill and Bob need to have some time in space as well. Also, these guys respawn, my orange ones. So let's just use them for this mission. Now, of course, it needs to be splashed down, which means I need to fire it up and then land it again. For that, I can use some precision gear, I think. Let's see. So first of all, we're going to be needing a decoupler. Does this have a built-in decoupler? Probably not. Force percent. Actually, I do think it has a built-in decoupler. I'm going to test this. Let's test this. Alright, so if I push this button, that actually decouples it, I think. Let's assume that it does. Good, then we can recover this. Now what I'm hoping is that there's still some debris left on the field, which would be the ring that was not attached. I don't think so, actually. We'll see. Maybe it's in the description. Ejection force. Decoupler. Okay, good. Ejection force 10. Good. That means that this thing can land and it doesn't need an extra decoupler. That also means that we can hang a standard tank on it and a little swivel engine that we can use to steer this thing towards water. And we're going to be needing one of those little PB chutes. PB chute, there we go, to land it with. Hopefully that'll work. And if not, then, well, we may have to say goodbye to a couple of Kerbals for a while. So, that's the port, this is the door, this is the front, and we are going to put some science stuff on there. We don't have a splashdown science thingy yet. There we go, science thingy. I think we also don't have splashdown thermals and barometrics yet. Who's flying? Valentina and Bill. Okay. Well, Godspeed, little P. Let's see how far you get, because this should be a super short burn. Now, it is facing 90 degrees to the right. Oh, that port is actually the rear. This is the, what am I saying? No. This is the front, this is the rear, which means I need to steer to the right. Is there anything except a bunker? Of course there's a bunker there. Yeah, we'll see how far we get with that. Okay. SAS on. Booster at about 40%. No, 30%. And let's see what happens. How far we get with this thing. On the suborbital trajectory towards the water. Oh dear, cut off. Ah, no. Damn it. I just killed 2 of my astronauts. Well, I'm afraid they're going to be missing in action for a while. Sorry, Valentina and Bill. My steering was a bit off. So sad. Right. I wish I had unmanned tech. Wouldn't it be great if we had unmanned tech? Could we get some unmanned tech? Wouldn't it be great? Yeah, look, we actually have a probe core that we could use, which is 45 science. And it even gives us more opportunities for science. But I actually also want to be able to make this into airplanes. I'm going to need 108 science for this. So let me get the science parts first and some stability controls. And then at some point we're going to be able to do some flying. Yep. Okay. We've got 82,000 now, which means we didn't make a lot of money on that just now. We still need to do that mission. So we are going to have to try this again, unfortunately. Is there a better way to do this? I don't have anything with wheels yet. Obviously, we need a bigger tank. There we go. Does this thing have reaction wheels, and if so, how much force? 100%. Yeah, no steering fins whatsoever. No RCS. Nothing. You know what? I'm gonna make this even better. I'll call it the Mission 7. Alright, now I'm gonna pop some science and then get this thing back in. Excellent. Great science. I'm happy I did that. So, let's recover that vessel. We've already got barometrics, I think, from there. So let's try that again on the runway. And then Jeb and Bob can take it for a little spin. Let's observe the mystery goo. There, that's a bit more science. That brings us up to 35. We only need 10 more and then we can actually get airplanes. So that means we are now ready to give it another go. So for the P, I'm going to set it to deploy the parachute early this time. So this little chute opens at 1500 now. Let's see what happens. I hope I don't kill my other 2 crew members. But this needs to be in the water when I use it. So that ought to be twice as long a flight as I could make it last time. God, this thing is unsteerable. Where are we? Just about ready. Okay. And engine cut off. Also, parachute. See how much that slows us down. I can always give it a little suicide burst in them. Come on, come on, come on, break it. Come on. Slow it down, come on. Okay, good. See, that's what the mission should have looked like last time. Now, right before we hit the water, I'm going to turn on the engine a little bit more. And then we'll do some measurements while splashdown using these science bits. This is going to take a while though. Yeah, I know. Physics warp is bad for you. But I just wanted my guys to be safe this time. Okay, about 100 meters to go. Slow it down just a little bit. And splash down. Excellent. Textbook, perfect. Now, let's run that test. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Next time, I'm going to use that module first. For now, at least I can do that. And that. And that. And I think I've already done this. Yep. Well, at least now we know that it's a nice sphere once you pop the thing off. And I'm going to use the material study thing later. Recover. "12 science. Good. That gives me airplane parts. Now we're getting somewhere. This still needs to be recovered, of course. Gives me some funds back, so I'm up to 90,000. Stack separator tested, landed. This I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's not take any missions just yet. Let's see if we can do airplane bits. So this literally lets me build airplanes. This lets me more effectively twist my rockets in the air. This lets me put in useful things like passenger modules and stuff. And this lets me build bigger rockets with bigger boosters. What to do, what to do? Can't afford this one yet. Power tech. I can start doing probe thingies now, so that means I can make unmanned planes for some testing. I don't have any missions for stuff like that, but I think I can do some temperature studies and stuff like that this way. So I should probably research that first. Aviation, that's what I want next. Because using airplanes, I can actually much more effectively do focused studies. And that also brings me another thing that I'm going to build. So the last thing I made was number 7. Good. Let's call this number 8. We'll call it the roller. Oh, there was a dash in between, of course. An ugly but functional roller that lets us do science in the KSC. KSC being the Kerbal Space Center. Now, you know what? No, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this on a actual plane. Now it's gonna need wheels, and those wheels are not gonna be retractable. This is not gonna be an airplane. It just needs to have a cockpit. And we'll see how practical we can get it, but not just yet. I need a scientist. I'm going to need to hire a scientist for this. So, this thing is going to have lots of science gear. Where's my science thing? Here's my science thing. Okay, science 1. And then we have thermometer, which we're going to hang right there. Pressure sensor, which we're going to hang right there. 1, 2, 3. And then we need this thing, which is going to hang right there. This is so that any scientist who is hanging on that door over there can reach all of these instruments at the same time. Now, next we need just a regular liquid fuel system. There. This is going to be running on 2 little jet engines. But how? There. And that means we also need air intakes. Right there. And let's give it a nice little blunt ass, because why not? Okay, so that is the engines part. That is going to be having a bunch of wheels on it too. You know what, let's make that wider. Let's just make sure that this thing can't easily break. Where is that structural thing? Okay, here we go. Right there. And we put in some of those same things. Right there. Am I doing this intelligently? I think I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this intelligently. I need this to be higher up. Is that going to block the experiment? Probably, yeah. But we'll see. There. So, that's the engine power stuff. And some wheels for that. Oh, come on. If I put that on here, it's great. Why isn't it great there? That's actually kind of funny that way. Let's do it this way. There. And then a nice little steerable nose wheel right there. It just looks amazing, which means we don't need these. That's good. Okay, engines turn on. I don't have action groups yet, so I can't turn them off. I can do that manually. This ought to work, probably. Oh, let's give that a try. Oh, bugger. I forgot to get a scientist to run that mission. Hey! Oh no, I killed Valentina, not Jeb. What's the break again? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to do science on the runway. Obviously, I've already got these. Mystery goo might give me a little bit extra minus return. Good. Yeah, I've already got this one too, but it's still going to give me a little something. What just happened? I don't know. Crew report already done. All right, anyway, I'm going to recover this vessel because I need a scientist to be the actual pilot for this. Also, I want to have a look at that glitch that just occurred, just to make sure that we don't die. Because these wheels, of course, are currently mounted backwards for how that usually works. So let's mount them on this thing. And then we turn them the right way. And I always get the weight wrong. Oh, come on. There, does that work? It's not a lot of clearance, but it'll work. I thought the other solution was better though, so I'm going to do it the way I originally planned it. It's crooked. That's not what I want. There. So, I changed nothing. This is not a major problem. Now, as for the pilot, I'm gonna need a scientist. Who is the most courageous and stupid scientist we can find? Elgard. Okay. Ooh, there. How much did I just spend on this? I honestly don't know how much money I just spent on hiring a Kerbal. I didn't actually notice that they cost money. Okay, so let's very carefully switch on these little engines. Oh dear, they are going the wrong way. Yeah, that would explain a few things. Well, this is probably one of the worst brain farts I've had in a while. But if I roll it off the runway, I can do a crew report from over here, which is Kerbal Shores. Sure, I'll go for Kerbal Shores. Now let's really quickly test if this is a viable solution. So, collect it. Collect it. Take it. Take it. Take it. Store all the experiments in the cockpit. Give me a EVA report. Good. Get back in. Do another crew report. Excellent. So, having a scientist in that vessel is definitely going to work. Now all we need to do is make sure that the vessel can actually also drive in a forwards direction, which is rather stupid of me. But I shall call the next one the forwards roller. Which of course means that I'm going to need to flip this engine and also remount the wheels. I did like the design, but now of course it's going to insist that I stick them on the other side, which I'm no longer really inclined to do because it's too wide. So there we go. Let's see what that does. The forwards roller is now a thing. Okay. Let's make sure we don't exceed safe speeds. We'll start off at the astronaut complex and see what we can do. Okay, that went relatively well. Yes. Alright, pull to a stop. Let's do some science. Room administration. Okay, now, having done all of that, we should collect it and restore it. Take all that data and put it all back in. Okay, let's drive this puppy to the next building. I think the flagpole is actually also a measuring point. Let's check. Astronaut complex. Good enough. Okay, again, collect everything and reset the experiments. Store everything in the cockpit. And let's be off again. Now let's try the research complex. R&D. History do. Material study. Pressure data. Alright. If only real science were this easy. Truth be told, sometimes it is. more science. The vehicle assembly building. Okay. Let's try the hangar next. A piece of shit building it is. I need to upgrade this. Yep. Space plane hangar. This is gonna be a mother load of science. Unless we somehow manage to get killed, which would be very sad, so let's not do that. Alright, EVA reports from the SPH. Then reset, collect. Did I get it? Okay. Collect, restore. Let's just do that just in case. Take everything from here, store it all there, except for one. Dumply double experiments. Okay. One more location. Okay. Now I don't need to take any of that other stuff out because I can now just climb back in. And then we've got everything when we recover this vessel. So I'll turn off the engines. There we go. Nice and quiet. So that gives me 122.4 science, bringing it to a total of 148. And I have 33,000 funds, which means that this one scientist cost me, this mission not being counted, 50k in funds. Wow, that was an expensive scientist. Then again, it's a good thing we have him because we lost Bill, of course. Okay, flight control. This might actually be something interesting for I have later. Or actually, no, it's something we need now. And that gives us either most of this branch with rockets and stuff, Star shot. Why the heck would I want to do fireworks? Well, maybe it's interesting. Okay, I'm not sure what this does, but it looks like a really interesting science experiment that I should do at every building. But it is time for us to start launching some stuff into space. So, let's go for general rocketry, and then this is not what I need. Let's go for advanced rocketry. That will allow us to use bigger tanks. And then we can really start doing something orbital. And I think maybe we should use a unmanned mission to test our first space rocket thingy. Do we have... We don't have shrouds yet, do we? No. Engine plates. Alright, well, let's start designing a missile that can solve our problems of escape and orbit. Which is a bit of a tall order, but I'm going to do it anyway. We haven't actually saved this game yet, so we shall call it the Wren's save. Okay. Let's see what we can do with this Sputnik here. How high can we launch this thing? The mission doesn't specify, as far as I know, that these people need to go. This needs to be containing a people thing when we escape the atmosphere. So I'm going to do this based on an unmanned craft, just to make sure that there is a chance that data is returned, even though death might occur for the occupant of the rocket. Now let's see, if we can use as few moving parts as possible, we can launch this thing up into space without too much fuss. Can I fit this in a... No, I can't fit this in a service bay. That is too bad. But I can fit some other stuff in there. For example, Sputnik, of course, is going to have comm gear. Let's have 2 antennas, just in case one breaks. Excellent. Now we're going to be needing battery buffers, big ones, because we have no way of recharging them. Let's see how far we get with that. Maybe get some measurements from space. Six batteries. Just better than nothing. Alright, then. Science experiments. Just a few. Also mounted inside the ship. 1, 2, and 3. Now that might give a bit of a shimmy if it's not super centered. I think it's centered-ish, but I'm not entirely sure. We'll see. I can't do action groups yet because I don't got the money. So that means I need to actually physically open this thing while in space. Now, this is going to be a 2-stage rocket. That is going to be the initial booster, which is cheap, not even 1,000. And then it's going to turn to the pretty big fuel tank, this one, with the nice little quiet engine. By this time there should be relatively little atmosphere. Now this has 916 meters per second in it, but for the engineering section, this is pessimistic because it's at sea level. In a vacuum, it is actually more than enough to get to the moon and back. So once we trigger this, we better be above, let's say, 30 kilometers in altitude, which we can be with no major problems. We should probably trigger this by the time we hit space, which is what brings us to the next problem, which is getting to space. For that, of course, we have this big buddy of ours who will ignite right about there. Now, 1470, that's going to take us up pretty high. And then the other motor can take over. Now, I'm going to need a total of 3700 to get into an actual orbit. This thing might actually make it if it is not aerodynamically stupid, which of course it is. Because this thing needs a shroud, but I don't have anything that could even remotely look like a shroud. So I'm going to use these wonderful little winglets to steer the ship. There. And this booster is going to be sacrificed. This thing is going to stay in orbit until it decays. Or until we give it a re-entry burn after we transmit the data. Okay. What number are we at now? 9. Alright, so this is 10. Alright, now this is about as aerodynamic as I can make it without using shrouds, which will be the next step. So, stay put, Nick 1, Godspeed, and let's see how far you get. Now this thing isn't going to fly high enough that it's going to lose contact with us, but I'm going to comm signal 1, right, good. Antenna rating 500K. Let's see how far we get. Curb net access. Okay, booster first stage. Separator second stage. Alright, this ought to do. Let's see how far we get. Is this a gimbaled engine? Yep, good. So while we're in atmosphere, we use the fins to steer. After that, we use the gimbal of this engine to steer. And everything's going to be fine, except that we can't maneuver if we're not under power. So we need to make sure we do something with that. And we can't hold, so I have to do everything manually. Swell. 3, 2, 1, blast off. Thrust to weight ratio is excellent, meaning I'm going to get a bunch of speed very quickly. That thing is fighting me. Okay. So at this particular time, we are literally on a prograde trajectory, which is good. We're about max Q now. And good. Let's go with the dead weight. Now let's see how far this is going to bring us. Not quite far enough, I'm afraid. Crap. Crap, crap, crappity, crap, crap, crap. Okay, well, I'm going to need to wait until the air is a bit thinner, and then we'll try again. I got no way to steer this thing, so... Okay, now let's start steering this thing. Basically flying on instruments here, but hoping we can get high enough before we burn too much fuel and lose some of the effectiveness. Okay, what does that do? Good. All right. Still have about 2,400 meters per second square left. We are definitely leaving the atmosphere. Yes. So I now have a bunch more money. Great. Alright, well, let's start extending antennas. We are going to take a while before we hit Apo, so let's do some science. How much power do we have left? Lots of electric, just not much fuel. That's not a major issue because this ship is going to be a satellite anyway. Maybe at some point we capture it and send it back down. Okay. Let's transmit all the data. Okay, that was stage 1. How are we doing? This is gonna take a while, that's good. I'll warp ahead a little bit. Okay, this is about the highest we're gonna get. How high are we? 170. It's actually pretty good. We should record this. Not high enough for a high orbit, but not a major issue for me as well. Hey Jeff, good to see you. Is that royalty-free music? I honestly don't know. I think I just made orbit. I just have no idea how high, but this is clearly orbit. Good. That should have netted me a lot of funds. Now these batteries are going to last for a bit, so nothing useful to transmit anymore from this. I'm going to leave it open, let it fly here for a bit, and maybe do some beep 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 while it flies past. Maybe they've done something better on KSP2. I honestly don't know. Let's head back to the Space Center. See if I'm rich now. Oh yeah, baby. Good, because I can use the funds to make action groups, but also to do better tracking, do surface samples, all that stuff. 85 science. It's not really enough yet. But hey, now I should have new missions to do. Okay, I guess we need to send an astronaut up there, and then we need to do a spacewalk. Piece of cake. We can do that. No, I've seen KSP2 in action a little bit. My son actually bought the early access version of it because he wanted to try it out, and I am kind of impressed with the way the engine cones work. They're really pretty, and they kind of look the way they actually do in real life. You know, changing their expulsion patterns as they go up and the air pressure goes down. That's nice. That's well done. But the game is far from finished. They want me to test a drogue chute. No, they want me to take a drogue chute up. Right. That altitude I can do, that speed I can do with a plane. Anyway, I'm gonna do the spacewalk test, definitely. And they want me to splash down a swivel and then activate it through the staging sequence. So I need to splash down a swivel without using it before we splash it down. Yeah, screw that. I'm testing a decoupler. That's all good. And they want me to shoot something onto an escape trajectory. Well, that's a waste of money. Also, if we're going to be doing a test of the re-entry module while it's orbiting, yeah, I've been a KSP fan for ages, since it was just Squad developing the thing. But I actually participated in a couple of podcasts about it. One was called Kerbal Cast, that dedicated. So it was a massive hobby, and it actually taught me quite a bit about spaceflight and physics and stuff. I found that very entertaining. Okay, so my missions right now, just to check. Explore Kerbal, do a spacewalk. And test a decoupler at the launch site. Well, I'm going to do that decoupler test just real quick. Just to make sure that we get some of that science, get some of those funds. We're gonna, it's still a mission, so it's KSM number 111, the decoupler test. Let's see. What shall we use to test it? We're not going to bother an astronaut with this. Let's do it with a probe core. And then we need to test the TD25 decoupler, which is far too big for this thing. So do we have anything that would fit that? This looks like it might be close enough. Alright. Some batteries maybe. Oh, it's got enough batteries. Okay. I just pushed that button and everything is fine. Let's test a decoupler and see what happens if we decouple it. Honestly, KSP was and remains to this day a interestingly buggy game. Alright, let's test this sucker. 3, 2, 1, test. Fucking spectacular, man. Amazing. And I've clearly completed that contract. Yeah. Super cool. Yep. Delete all my messages. And let's recover this vessel. Okay, so now I have 280k funds. And I spent 460 on it and recovered all the 460 funds again. That means it's time to start getting our astronaut ready for a spacewalk. Who have we got that isn't missing in action? Jeb, Bob, and Elgard. Okay, so we want this scientist to do a spacewalk. We want somebody to do a spacewalk. We want them to be able to come back safely. That's in the mission parameters, so it has to happen, which means we need to send up as few people as possible. How fast does a P go when we re-enter it? You know, Jeff, I think you do have a point. I think KSP was built on Unity. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know what they're using for KSP2. Maybe they're actually building their own engine from the game, from the ground up, which would probably be why it's a buggy mess. It's probably a shit ton of work to build something like that. You know what? I'm going to send one person, and it doesn't need to be a scientist because we're not reusing any experiments. Okay, so this will be KSM 12, the spacewalk. Someone's gonna walk in space. We'll let the astronauts draw lots for who is the unlucky victim. At least whoever does it is going to go down in history. No, it's going to be recorded in history. Because, you know, if you're going to be talking about going down in the context of flying into space, then let's assume that they're not going to go down in flames. Yeah, that would be sad. Okay. Also Unity. Well, they didn't learn from the past then. That is sad. I haven't actually got it myself yet. I'm waiting to see if it's worth my time at some point. Busy with other stuff as well. So, a capsule needs a heat shield so that it can come back from space. A capsule also needs a parachute. This is one of the traditionally this is one of the worst things that always happened, is the forgetting of the parachute. It's a time-honored KSP tradition to have a craft come back, almost be done with the mission, and only then to realize that you forgot to pack the parachute. Now, just in case, I'm going to set this to a slightly higher altitude to deploy. I do that because I had some unfortunately missing in action people recently due to a parachute malfunction. Okay, so that is the last stage. This is the bit that goes back to the planet. Now, well, yeah, I've actually done some work with Unity, and I think it's a pretty good engine, but whatever they tried doing with it in KSP, the original KSP had so many different versions that at some point I probably just turned into spaghetti. Wait, this is fireworks. I don't think I actually need fireworks. What was I doing? Oh yes, I was building a rocket for science. A payload system which contains a bunch of stuff, science stuff preferably, which is going to be retrieved by our intrepid astronaut as he or she does a spacewalk. There. Let there be power, and then let there be science. One, two, and three. Alright, that can close. See, this is a beautiful and aerodynamic craft that has no possible way of malfunctioning. Can I do that just for aesthetic reasons? Nope. Also, it makes no sense to have that. That's for when you want to automatically return science shit from a probe. Okay. Now under this, we're going to be needing some booster power for orbital maneuvering. Parachute goes on a separate circuit. Alright, so this is 304 in air, but in a vacuum it's going to be 1232. That's good because it basically allows us to circle our trajectory. That means we need to get it up high enough that this booster is going to do the trick of rounding out everything. This has reaction wheels, that's good. Yeah, but we're not going to be doing multiple uses in this case. I'm not going to be bringing... I'm just going to step outside with my pilot. It's going to be a pilot because I just already got sick of doing manual attitude hold. And the pilot is going to step outside, grab the stuff from the experiment, step back inside, keep it in there, and then return with the pod. Everything else is burning up in the atmosphere. The end of this mission, at least. Is this wise? No. This should be a bigger tank. Alright, that is in vacuum 2050. Now if that doesn't allow us to do a lot, it is not good enough. Now, just to send it to the edge of space, we can have a big giant engine, which we are going to be coupling onto this thing using that. Now, this thing has 1219. It was 1415 on my last mission, but I didn't have these two and this thing installed on it then, and it actually did the job pretty well, and I didn't need most of my fuel in this thing. Let's see if that is still the case. some maneuver. $1163. Do we need some extra boosters? Yeah, we need some extra boosters. And I'm gonna go with a SRB system. Just 2. It has been ages since I've played this game. Honestly, I used to do a lot of asparagus staging, which is when you do fuel tank connections and stuff. I don't think I've actually unlocked that yet. Nope. Lots of life support stuff, but we don't need that for these really short trips. Do we? Days with electricity for 3 hours. That is more than enough, I think. You know what? Let's just pack in some extra batteries just in case. You never know how long we might want to stay up there. Alright, 5.5 hours. That's almost 1 Kerbal day. And let's lower the wind resistance a little bit by going aerodynamic with these. Okay, so these fire first. Do we fire them all? No, we fire these 2 first. Then we drop them and we ignite the second booster. Nice. Nice. I haven't actually looked much into the physics of Stormworld space. I don't have the space expansion. I've only got the effects of the space expansion, which annoys me every now and then. Okay, who goes into space? Let's see who we have left. We have 1 pilot, 1 scientist, and another scientist. Oh, darn it, I thought Bob was the... I hired a scientist for nothing. I could have used Bob. Cost me 50k. Well, anyway, I'll hire an engineer when I have time. When I have time to send 3 people to space anyway. Jeb, I've checked the staging. I think we're ready for this. What is the TWR here, by the way? Pooh. Ship is too heavy. Alright, you know what? Save that, and let's see if we can already purchase an expansion for the launch site. Yeah, we can do that. Upgrade. There we go. Problem solved. Now we can launch huge rockets. Okay. So it's no longer too heavy. So ground level, that gives us about 1600, which is going to definitely shoot it past the 10k mark, probably up to about low 30,000 kilometers. Let's see what that does. And if everything goes wrong, I can always abort-ish. Let's see what it does. Who's coming? Jeb. Is he bringing a parachute? Yep. Oh, well. That's Um, the thing I've always really loved about KSP is the fact that it just seamlessly transitions, like literally seamlessly. Okay, well, let's give this a try, shall we? Attitude hold. I haven't checked into the thrust to weight ratio of these, so if they don't get me off the ground, I'm just gonna let them burn out and then retrieve the craft. If they do get me off the ground, I'm probably gonna be good. So, Jeb, Godspeed. Oh, this is excellent. Alright, get a roll. Alright, cut out the SAS and let's just go for prograde. I think we had a mid-air collision there. Hope nothing lands on the KSC. Okay, speed is good. Trajectory seems good. Let's see what the map says. Ah, that's nice. That's a nice profile. Yeah, I haven't tried Star Citizen yet, but I like to play Elite Dangerous every now and then. Not during streams usually, but you know, just when I feel like playing something. Okay. You know what? I'm not gonna engage my next engine yet. I'm gonna drop this part though. There we go. So that can fall back. Not reusable anyway, so whoever lives in the sea can fish it out and turn it into something new. Now, what are the mission parameters again? Go on an orbital spacewalk near Kerbin. Return to Kerbin from orbit. Okay, meaning I need to achieve orbit before I need to go on a spacewalk. Now it says near Kerbin, right? Yep. I'm gonna dump my husks everywhere. There can be some money into retrieving those husks, by the way. That's like a special kind of aluminum, rocket grade aluminum. It's probably not a bad source of funds if you go and find some of those and bring them, sell them back. What's that? Oh, yeah, that was my previous mission, Stay Putnik 1. I should probably deorbit that, otherwise I'm gonna have a bunch of clutter. Or I can leave it there and then do a retrieval mission at some point, once I have big rockets with big payload bays. Just grab it in the payload bay, bring it back. Or maybe with an SSTO or something. Yeah, SSTOs would be excellent for this kind of mission. Okay, almost apoapsis. And I've got 2044 left, so 2050 left just about. Let's see how fast I can go with this thing. Take it up just a little bit like this. I'm a bit late with this burn. I hope I'm not too late. Looking at the numbers, it's probably going to be fine, but still. Good thing I didn't try this at 70k. I'm usually in the habit of planning my burns, so this is not really how I normally work. What are we doing? 115? Good. Almost there. Excellent. That should be just enough so I can still deorbit. With 348 meters per second left, and my orbit exactly crossing the orbit of that thing. So at some point these might actually, I mean the chance is tiny, but these might actually come in contact with each other. Wouldn't that be awesome? Okay, first of all, material study from orbit. Cool. Yeah, I can do something with that. Let's see. Mystery goo. Yep, only if I retrieve it, of course, because I've already done that with antennas. Yep, also only if I retrieve it, and again, only if I retrieve it. Now, Jeb, here is your... Oh, did I do one of these? I didn't. Awesome. Here is your moment of glory, Jeb. Use it. We are heading away from the sun, so it's going to get dark soon, which means I should probably let go. Engage my pack. First time I've actually done orbital maneuvering with a pack since I picked this game up again. And I haven't actually played it since, well, it's been a while. And I even remember the hotkey for the light. Okay. Jeb, let's have a good look at this shit. First of all, you'll want to take that data. Take that data. You can't restore it. You're not science-y enough for that. Alright, grab some of that. And grab some of that. You know what? We want to close the doors just for show. And close these two. Excellent. Now, give me an EVA report. Recorded your observations. Such a cold guy, right, Jeb? I am recording my observations. I am a super awesome astronaut. Okay. Store everything in here. Now, as for the EVA report, Kerbin's water. Do we have one of those yet? Nope. Okay. So discard it, we already have water. Where are we? On the dark side, obviously. Okay, so let's see if we can land it back at KSC. Anywhere near KSP would be fine, as long as we don't crash into those mountains, which would suck. I have, yes, I have tried the Real Solar System mod and I quite enjoyed it, but I figured I'd go for the slightly. This is also the one where the planets are real sized, right? Not Kerbin sized, because everything in Kerbal Space Program is basically small. Kerbin Shores, yeah, good. I didn't have that one yet. Store that. Grasslands, I didn't have that yet. Yep. Yeah, that was a challenge. But again, that one also taught me quite a lot about real space exploration and stuff. Alright, now let's make sure that we don't overstay our welcome in space, because space is a hostile environment and we need to start retro burning by the time we get about here-ish. So let's skip time for about, what is my orbital period? I have no idea. Half an hour probably. Always keeping an eye on these. I knew some people who loved to warp, and then they always somehow forgot that at some point you do still have to take care of electricity needs and stuff. So they would warp and then suddenly not be able to steer the vessel anymore because the power was out. Now that is a sad, sad situation. Right, it is time for us to burn retrograde. I used to make a point of actually writing out my thrust to weight calculations and my delta V calculations using the ideal rocket equation, because it wasn't initially a part of the game that it would give you all these little detailed stats about your thrust to weight, your thrust numbers were known, your ISP was known, which is basically your engine efficiency, right? But that was it. You'd basically need to calculate stuff on your own. And rather than go, this game is too complicated for me, I went like, okay, fine, I'll learn the science. So I can actually apply the ideal rocket equation now without actually spending too much work on it. Alright, let's see how close we can get to a deorbit, including aerobraking, of course. Fairly close to the Kerbal Space Center. Yeah, that'll do, I think. At some point I'm going to hit the water. Too bad it's going to be a night landing. I wish I put some nav lights on this thing. But oh well. Okay, so everything that needs to come back with me is already in this thing. So I can already decouple. I should probably, because it's going to be making air braking much more efficient, and also it will reduce the risk of sudden and violent death. And yet I'm going to wait as long as possible because I don't have that much battery power in this thing. This thing has... oh, half my battery charge is in here. Okay, you know what? Never mind. Alright, turn off the SAS. Prepare to decouple in 3, 2, 1, fire. Now all I've got to do is wait until it's time to deploy the chute. This has probably already given me a bit of a kickback. So now the only thing I need to worry about with no control whatsoever is whether or not I'm going to hit these mountains. But if I've timed it right, I should land about there, I think. How you doing, Jeb? Let's see what the world looks like for you. Yeah, yep. Let's twist you around a bit. There we go. Now we can see the planet. Ain't that marvelous? They say once you've seen the planet from space, all the other petty problems of the world just sort of go away. I wonder how that is for all the people making war right now. Do they just not realize? Not that I'm trying to make a political statement or anything. Ooh, I'm going to overshoot a bit. Not far though. I think I'm going to land here. Here, just about here. In the dark. So things are heating up nicely, but with 2150 meters per second, that isn't a bad thing to have some ablation. Hello, Arian. It's nice to see you, even though it's going to be briefly, because I'd kind of figured that this would be my last landing for now, before I go and hit the sack. I got work to do tomorrow. For now, though, this heat shield is going to protect my good friend Jebediah Kerman over here. Where do fruits go on vacation? What an excellent question. I honestly have no idea, but something just exploded. I hope it wasn't my parachute. No, that's still there. That'll be my engines, the ones that I jettisoned earlier. Paris! Ah! Yeah, that one isn't bad. It's pretty okay. Wait, where'd my probe go? Pod. Oh, there she is. Ooh. I'm just gonna turn the lights on, that way I can see it again. Okay, well now all I can do is deploy my chutes and wait. The bananas. Okay, well I'm gonna deploy the chute now. It's probably gonna slow me down a little bit, but this thing ain't gonna really deploy until about 1250 meters. Let's make it 1150. What did baby corn say to mama corn? I don't know. Probably has something to do with popcorn. Yep, see, I was like daddy corn. Can we do something with that? Nope. Yep, that was it. Popcorn. Okay, now we're going to physics warp a little bit because otherwise we're going to be staring at this pod hanging basically almost still in the air. Do either of you know what the actual speed is that the Apollo modules landed at? How many meters per second? I used to know, but I think I forgot. There we go. Jeb has landed. Maybe we can do a crew report from the water, just to get some more. Okay, let's see how much science this gave us. recover the vessel. Now, since I've already sent an unmanned probe into orbit, it's probably not going to be a massive ton of science. It's still 78 science. That's not bad. But if I take a nice little airplane filled with a bunch of science experiments and I just sort of fly it around Kerbin and land it every now and then so I can swap out the science parts, it is probably going to give me way more. Then again, this is a successful mission. I have massive amounts of money, and Jeb now has more skills as a pilot. With a reputation of 97, that means I'm probably going to be offered more awesome missions. For example, we need to get data from space. Excellent, I'll do that. And we need to go to the Mun. Alright, I can do that, sure. I'll go to the Mun. But first, let's upgrade mission control so that I can pick up more contracts. And what else do I need to do? Action groups. Yeah, if I'm going to build a mission to the Mun, I want to use action groups. About 10 meters a second. All right, so Kerbin is way smaller. Oh, this is information that you can just Google, honestly. They were actually tested at higher impact velocities to see what would happen to the crew inside. Orbits. Okay, I would like to have patched conics, but I would like to have planning. And I need a tracking station upgrade for that. That way I can plan my burns, and that is something I'm going to need if I'm going to do any moon, if I don't want to do any Munner missions. So I'm going to go for that. Now, as for that, I'm going to need to upgrade this thing first because 30 parts to the moon is maybe not enough. Well, you know what? I'm going to dedicate some more time to this tomorrow. But for tonight, I'm going to keep this stream relatively brief. So maybe we have a look at somebody else who's playing KSP right now. Go and raid them. Let me have a quick gander, as they say in English, to see if there's anybody out there who is currently streaming KSP. People building massive rockets. Somebody who's about as far as I am, I think. Yep, the summer. You know what? I'm gonna raid this guy with you. Looks like a nerd, just like me, so that's good, right? Nerds should help nerds out. Please note, when I use the word nerd, I mean that. I mean that in the best way. So, oh no, I think he's actually ending his stream now. All right, you know what? Let's not raid, but I'm gonna check that guy's feed out soon. So, to those of you who have been interested in watching what we did today, thank you for being here. See you again soon. Have a good night, and probably see you again tomorrow, about same time, same place. Goodbye.